This story is titled, While Shopping for Our First Christmas Together, I Handed My Girlfriend My Card. She laughed and told the cashier, He's not my forever, just my right now. Broke, but eager, like a puppy who thinks he's a wolf. The cashier just smirked and said, Good luck with that one. I took the bags, kissed her forehead, and said nothing. But the next day, she woke up to an empty closet and a letter she'll never forget. Now she's standing outside my work, every day, screaming, Please, I didn't mean it. This isn't one of those dramatic breakup stories where I caught her cheating or she threw my Xbox out the window or whatever. No, this one's quieter, colder, like that moment in winter when you step outside and the air looks still, but then it punches your lungs like a fist. Anyway, I, 28M, was in a relationship with Harper, 26F, for just under a year. Not long, right? But long enough that I started imagining things like first Christmases, maybe renting a place together next year, combining Spotify accounts, you know, all the dumb cozy stuff. She's sharp, sarcastic, absolutely magnetic in social settings. People gravitate to her like she's some walking TED Talk. Me? I'm quieter. I work in HVAC. I fix things. I know the best gas station snacks in 5 counties and can eyeball a crooked thermostat from 30 feet away. We met at a mutual friend's ugly sweater party last December. She made fun of my sweater's lopsided reindeer. I made her laugh. The next weekend, we were watching Die Hard and drinking peppermint schnapps from mismatched mugs. It escalated fast. Sleepovers turned into drawers at each other's places, toothbrushes multiplied, and by September she was calling my dog our son. But there were moments, like how she joked to her friends that I worked with wires or wrenches or something, I don't know, guy stuff. Or how she'd ask me to Venmo her half after she picked up coffee, even though she knew I'd covered dinner the night before. It's not the money. I grew up broke. I know how to stretch a dollar. It's the energy, like she was keeping score in a game I didn't know we were playing. Still, I chalked it up to her being fiercely independent. That was part of what drew me in, until last Friday. We were at Target, our first Christmas together, and I was full-on leaning into it. I'd never done this before with someone I cared about. She had this long list on her phone, stocking stuffers for her nephews, candles for her sister, something called a gua sha for her mom. We were having fun, play fighting over the last pack of gingerbread M and Ms. At checkout, the total came to just over $230. I offered my card. Simple, right? We'd talked about me covering this trip, my treat. I'd picked up some overtime and wanted to make the season feel good. But Harper, she laughed, not a little giggle, a full, theatrical laugh like we were on a stage. Then she turned to the cashier, a tired-looking guy with a nose ring and haunted retail eyes, and goes, He's not my forever, just my right now. Broke, but eager. Like a puppy who thinks he's a wolf. The cashier didn't even flinch, just smirked and said, Good luck with that one. I stood there, card still in hand. I felt my ears burn. My spine stiffened, but I didn't say a word. I just swiped, took the bags, kissed her forehead like I hadn't just been gutted, and walked us out to the car. The ride home was weirdly normal. She was humming along to the radio. I drove in silence, replaying her words like a skipping track. Broke but eager. Puppy who thinks he's a wolf. Not my forever. I didn't sleep much that night. I laid there beside her, eyes on the ceiling, listening to her soft breathing and thinking about every moment that now felt different in hindsight. The passive jabs, the way she laughed a little too loud when I mispronounced charcuterie in front of her foodie friends. The way she never introduced me by name to her boss, just as my guy. I got up at 4 a.m. and packed everything I had at her place. Clothes, tools, dog's leash. Left her favorite mug, the one I'd bought for her at a flea market in Asheville, on the counter, with a letter. I won't share all of it, but the gist was, I loved you. Or at least the version of you I thought was real. But I won't be the punchline in your performance. I moved back into my old studio, brought my dog with me. I blocked her on everything. Next day, she showed up outside my work, red-faced, mascara smudged, screaming like something inside her had cracked. Please, I didn't mean it. It was a joke. You're taking it too far. Now she comes almost every day. I see her through the break room window. Security asked her to leave twice. She begs. She cries. Says she didn't think I'd take it so personally. And here's where I'm stuck. Most people at work are on my side, but some of our mutual friends are saying I'm being too extreme, that everyone says stupid stuff sometimes, that I should at least talk to her. But that moment, in front of a stranger, that wasn't a joke. That was how she really saw me. And once someone shows you that, can you ever unsee it? The first 48 hours after I left were weirdly calm, too calm, like the silence after a crash when your brain hasn't caught up to the trauma yet. You just sit there blinking, ears ringing, blood still not sure where it should be. I spent that weekend in my studio apartment, aka the shoebox over Carmine's Deli, cleaning stuff that didn't need cleaning, organized my tools, folded socks, Took my dog Ranger on unnecessarily long walks around the block just to avoid being inside with my thoughts. Harper's number lit up my phone 37 times that first day. I didn't block her right away. I think some part of me wanted to see what she'd say, not apologize. I didn't expect that. But something, anything that felt, I don't know, real. Instead, I got a flood of texts that read like a greatest hits album of emotional gaslighting. You're seriously ghosting me? After everything? I was joking, literally. You need to grow a sense of humor. OMG, you're embarrassing yourself. So you're just gonna walk away because of a bit? She called me dramatic, sensitive, accused me of ruining Christmas. One message just said, wow, in all caps like I'd personally canceled the holiday season. I didn't respond. On Monday, she escalated, showed up at my work during lunch hour. I work at a small HVAC company, one of those tight crews where everybody's been there forever and knows each other's business whether you want them to or not. My boss, Donnie, 62 million, chain smoker, part-time philosopher, was eating leftover meatloaf in the break room when the front office called him. There's a woman out front, crying, asking for Michael. Donnie raised an eyebrow at me. That your Harper? I nodded once. That was all it took. Donnie stood, tossed his lunch in the trash and said, take 10, use the back door. I didn't even look out front. Just grabbed Ranger's leash and dipped. Ranger always rides with me in the truck. I've got his crate in the back, a water bowl under the seat, and he's basically my emotional support mechanic at this point. We drove for an hour with no destination. Ended up in the parking lot of this old drive-in theater that hasn't shown a movie since 2009. Ranger napped in the passenger seat while I stared at the cracked asphalt and tried to piece together how the hell I let this happen. Here's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It's not the act itself that breaks you. It's the realization that you ignored every red flag because you wanted the person to be better than they were. Like how Harper always told stories that made her exes sound pathetic. Or how she never said thank you unless someone else was watching. How she'd compare my potential to her friends' husbands who worked in finance or tech or some shit I never cared to understand. I used to brush it off as her just having high standards. Turns out, I was the low bar she kept stepping over. Tuesday night, she messaged again. This time with something new, a photo of the card I left on her counter. I hadn't expected her to read it. Honestly, I thought she'd rip it in half or laugh about it in another store with another cashier. But there it was. Open, highlighted, underlined with notes like she was preparing a rebuttal. She captioned it, "You really think this is a reason to burn down what we had?" And I just stared at it, not the message. The photo. She didn't reach out like a human being. She screenshotted my pain and treated it like evidence in a trial. I finally blocked her after that. The next day, she came again. To my job, banging on the glass like some desperate contestant on a reality show, tears running down her cheeks, smearing her mascara like war paint. My coworker Richie, 45 million, no filter, 2 divorces under his belt, muttered, "Should have bought her a chew toy if she thinks you're a puppy." Even now, part of me wants to hear her out. That's the messed up part. I still love the version of her I thought was real. The one who snorted when she laughed, who memorized my coffee order, who once stayed up all night helping me repaint my mom's porch because she said, "Your mama deserves better than chipped eggshell." But then I remember how she handed that card to the cashier like I was some joke she'd picked up on clearance, like I was her bit. And here's the thing, I don't want to be someone's punchline. I want to be someone's piece. By day 4, she started showing up at places she knew I'd go. Carmine's Deli? She sat at the window with a croissant she wasn't eating. I watched her tear it into little pieces and scatter them like she was feeding pigeons or baiting ghosts. Didn't go in. Shell station off 5th? She was parked at pump number 3, pretending to check her oil, in a pencil skirt. Even the dog park. That one almost broke me. Ranger started tugging like he smelled something familiar. And there she was, Harper, standing just outside the fence, holding the leash of a borrowed golden retriever that looked about as confused as I felt. She wasn't crying. Not this time. She just stood there watching me with this look I couldn't read, like she was trying to recognize someone in a crowd but couldn't quite place the face. I called Ranger and walked away. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until we were halfway down the block. Later that night, I got an email. Not a text, not a voicemail. An actual email, like it was a professional apology or some kind of HR-approved statement of regret. Subject line, "Please read. Please, just this once." She wrote 5 paragraphs. 5. The gist? She was trying to be funny, that I'd misinterpreted her tone, that she didn't mean anything by the comment to the cashier, that I knew she used sarcasm to mask discomfort, and I had taken a moment of awkwardness and turned it into a grand betrayal. She also said she felt blindsided and humiliated by the way I just vanished. Let me repeat that. She felt humiliated, like I'd flipped a table and screamed at her in public, like I'd thrown the bags down and called her every name in the book, when really, all I did was leave, quietly, dignified, with all the pain neatly folded inside like a note you tuck into a drawer and pretend you'll never reread. I didn't respond. But I did start remembering things, like that brunch back in August. Her college friends were in town, all polished and high-rise, and we just closed a Series A. I ordered pancakes and joked I was the token blue-collar boyfriend in a sea of fintech bros. Harper laughed. Too hard. Then she said, "He's cute though, right? Like a rescue mutt. Loyal, confused, probably sheds." Everyone laughed. I laughed too. I told myself it was a joke. That's just how she is. That's just Harper. But now I realize that was the prototype. That cashier moment didn't come out of nowhere. It was just the climax of a very long, very passive-aggressive story where I was always the punchline wearing a tool belt. Later that week, her sister DM'd me on Instagram. "She's not eating. She's barely sleeping. Just talk to her, please." Number. You don't get to kick someone down a flight of emotional stairs and then ask them to carry your guilt up after you. Still, I didn't block her sister or her mom when she messaged me 2 days later. Her mom, who once called me resourceful in a quaint way, suddenly writing things like, "I hope you can remember the good parts. Everyone says things they don't mean." Do they, though? Because I've said stupid stuff in my life. Plenty. But I've never handed a cashier a metaphorical dagger and said, "Here, stab him with this while he pays for my candles." You know what no one said so far? Not Harper, not her sister, not her mom. No one has said, "She was wrong," not even once. And that's what makes me sure I did the right thing. Because if the apology comes with conditions, if it's all about how I took it, or she didn't mean it, or everyone does it, it's not an apology. It's spin. I'm not her PR crisis. I was her partner. Or at least, I thought I was. I finally checked our shared photo album. I shouldn't have, but I did. You know how iCloud creates those memory things? The ones with dramatic music and filter-heavy montages that make every moment look like it meant something? I opened the one labeled Our First Year. It started with that blurry picture from the ugly sweater party where we met. My reindeer antlers were lopsided, and Harper was holding a red Solo cup, mouth open mid-laugh. It looked like joy, except now I can't stop thinking. Was it always performance? Like that weekend at the lake? The one where I taught her to fish? And she posted a photo of me holding a trout with the caption, "When your man's not rich but he's resourceful." I remember showing her that caption and saying, "You could have just said badass fisherman." She kissed my cheek and said, "But babe, it's funny." Funny? Always funny. That was the script. If I complained, I was sensitive. If I stayed quiet, I was strong. She got to play the quirky, sarcastic girlfriend with the broke but sweet boyfriend. It was our whole brand. Meanwhile, I worked Saturdays and Sundays to pay for the Christmas she laughed through. She hasn't stopped trying to contact me, by the way. Not even a little. Day 7. I came home to find a handwritten letter taped to my door. I didn't even know she remembered where I lived before we started spending most nights at her place. It was written in her old planner, like she couldn't find real stationery. Still smelled like her, vanilla, and the expensive shampoo she kept in a labeled glass jar like we were in a spa. The letter was messier than the email. No spell check. Just raw handwriting and words that curled when she pressed too hard. "I miss you. I hate how this happened. I was trying to be funny because I get weird in public when I feel vulnerable. It was stupid. I hate that you think I see you that way. I don't. I swear I don't. But I guess I must have made you feel that way, and I'm sorry." She signed it with a scribbled heart and H. It wrecked me. Not because it was enough. It wasn't. But because for the first time, it sounded like her. The real her. The one who once cried when I fixed her car's heater in the middle of a snowstorm and whispered, "I don't know what I'd do without you." And that's the messed up thing. I don't think she's evil. I think she's selfish. And maybe selfish people can love you, just not more than they love their own image. I haven't responded. I don't trust her. And that silence is holding me steady like a rope in a storm. But I still reread the letter. I still carry it in the inside pocket of my jacket like a wound I haven't decided to stitch yet. My therapist, yeah, I finally caved and found one, told me something that stuck. Humiliation is one of the most primal human pains. It registers in the same brain region as physical injury. I didn't know that. But it explains why my chest still tightens every time I replay that Target scene, like my body thinks I got stabbed that day. I told the therapist what Harper said, word for word. He nodded and said, "Do you believe her when she says she didn't mean it?" And I just sat there for a long time. Because honestly, I don't know, which I guess means I kinda do. Because if someone who loves you truly didn't mean it, wouldn't they stop at nothing to show you? Not just say sorry, not just send letters, but own it. All of it. Without deflection, without sarcasm, without a PR campaign through their mom and sister. But instead, she keeps trying to rewrite the ending without acknowledging the middle. And I keep remembering the way that cashier looked at me like he'd seen the ending before. He probably had. Day 10. Double digits. 10 days since I kissed her forehead, took the bags, and said nothing. 10 days since I became a ghost in her world. I know that because she's told everyone who will listen that I'm ghosting her, that I'm avoiding closure, that I'm punishing her for a joke. And maybe I am punishing her. Not in the way she thinks, though. Not with anger or revenge or some dramatic Instagram post. No long captions, no subtweets. Just absence, just nothing. And honestly, I think it's driving her insane. Because people like Harper, they thrive on reactions. That's the currency. That's the power. If you laugh, she's winning. If you cry, she's winning. If you scream, especially if you scream, she's definitely winning. But if you go silent, she doesn't know what to do with that. I heard from Chloe today, one of the friends who used to host wine nights where Harper would hold court like a stand-up comic in a cocktail dress. Chloe never used to talk to me much unless I was opening the wine or refilling the cheese board. Today, she messaged me out of the blue. Hey, Harper's a mess. She really didn't mean it like that. You were always good to her. She knows that now. Now, not then. Not when it mattered. I didn't respond. Just reread the message until it started to look like gibberish. Then I opened our old shared notes app and looked at the Christmas list we'd been making. There was a bullet next to every name. Her nephews, her co-workers, my mom, Ranger. Next to my name, nothing. Just still thinking. That tiny blank space hit me like a freight train. She didn't know what to get me. I don't mean that in a spoiled, petty way. I mean, I knew what I was getting her before Halloween. I tracked down a signed copy of her favorite poetry book. I had it shipped from a shop in Maine. Paid extra for gift wrap and everything. She once cried over that book during a fight with her mom. Said it reminded her of a better version of herself. And she didn't even know what to get me. I guess I was easy to forget. I keep thinking about that moment at Target. Not just what she said, but how she said it. Like I was a prop. Like I was a running gag in the sitcom of her life. And the cashier. The way he didn't even blink. Like he'd heard that kind of thing 100 times. I wonder how many of us there are out there. People who thought they were building something real, only to find out they were just background noise in someone else's performance. I'm not proud of this next part, but I need to say it. I drove by her place last night. Just once. Just to see. The porch light was on. Her car was out front. Someone else's car was too. A white Audi. License plate said, Grindin'. No joke. I didn't stop. Didn't even slow down. But it got me thinking, what if she's already moved on? What if she's crying at my job and writing me love letters by day, and letting someone else hold her at night? Wouldn't that be the most Harper thing ever? I shouldn't care. I know that. But heartbreak doesn't move in straight lines. It zigzags, loops back on itself, doubles down when you think you've escaped it. I came home, sat on the floor, pet Ranger until he fell asleep with his chin on my knee. Then I opened my laptop and started writing a list. Not a Christmas list. A closure list. Things she did that felt small at the time but weren't. Like laughing when I said I wanted to start my own HVAC company. Joking that I was lucky she was patient with my budget. Buying matching Christmas pajamas for her and the dog, but not for me. It's stupid, I know. Pajamas shouldn't mean anything, but that's how it works, right? You die of frostbite 1 degree at a time. Day 13. I got a letter from her therapist today. Not kidding. It came in a pale blue envelope, neat handwriting on the front. I thought it was a holiday card or something from a neighbor. Inside, a printed letter on official letterhead from Dr. Eva Holloway, licensed marriage and family therapist. Apparently, Harper's been seeing her for a year. News to me. The letter didn't say much, just that Harper had expressed a desire to repair and take responsibility, and that communication might help both parties find closure and clarity. I had to read it 3 times before I processed what was happening. She was bringing in reinforcements. Still no, I was wrong. Still no, I understand now. Just professional outreach. I tossed the letter in the junk drawer with expired coupons and dead batteries, and then I did something worse. I reread her letter, the one I've been carrying around in my jacket. I don't even know why. Maybe I wanted to see if it felt different after 2 weeks. If the words would hit softer. They didn't. They still read like someone trying to win a debate, not someone mourning a relationship. Later that night, I took Ranger for a walk and ran into one of her coworkers at the park, Sarah. She recognized me, looked unsure whether to wave. Eventually did. I nodded back. She hesitated, then said, I don't want to get involved, but for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. That threw me. I didn't even know she knew what happened. She talks about you a lot, Sarah added. Still, but not in the way she used to. More like, she finally sees it now. I wanted to ask, sees what? But I didn't. I thanked her and walked away. But the question kept echoing. What is it she sees now that she didn't before? That I had limits? That my love wasn't a permanent safety net for her emotional recklessness? That she couldn't keep testing me, humiliating me, performing me into the ground without consequence? Or maybe, just maybe, that I was actually a wolf the whole time. Quiet, steady, not flashy, but dangerous in the ways that mattered. I checked social media later that night. I know I shouldn't have, but curiosity is its own kind of grief. She posted a reel, her Christmas tree, flickering, a mug that said, let's get cozy. The kind of soft, aesthetic post designed to scream, I'm fine, in 30 carefully curated seconds. Except the caption, Sometimes the people who say they love you the most leave you when you need them. And just like that, she'd made herself the victim again. I clicked through the comments. All her friends co-signing the narrative. Heart emojis. You're so strong. They didn't deserve you. Their loss. Not one person asked what she said, what she did. Just pure sympathy on tap. And that's when it hit me. She's already rewritten the story. In her version, I'm the guy who walked out without a word. Not the guy who stood in Target holding shopping bags while his girlfriend compared him to a broke puppy in front of a minimum wage cashier. No one remembers that part, because that part makes her the villain. So now I'm the cold one, the guy who vanished, the one who doesn't forgive, the one who won't give love a second chance. She even texted me last night, "You said forever once. I guess you meant until I messed up." Yeah, I meant until you treated me like I was disposable, until you laughed at me like I was some trial version of a boyfriend you could upgrade later. Day 15. 2 weeks and 1 day since the incident. You know what's funny? I can't even remember what she bought that day. The Target haul that started this whole unraveling. Candles, wrapping paper, slippers for her sister. All I remember is her voice. The way she smiled while casually carving me into something small. I've started dreaming about it now. Not the moment itself, but everything before it. The drive there, her feet on the dash, the way she sang along off-key to the Mariah Carey Christmas album, even though she said she hated pop music. How she leaned her head on my shoulder in the parking lot and whispered, "I'm really glad it's you." Dream Harper is always softer. Dream Harper never makes that joke. Real Harper is now camping out by my truck before my shift starts. Yes, that actually happened. I was walking out of the 7-Eleven with my morning coffee, keys in hand, and there she was, sitting on the curb next to my front tire, hair up, hoodie pulled tight around her face like some lost ghost of Christmas past. She stood when she saw me. No tears, just red eyes and a paper cup from the same gas station. "Hey," she said, like we'd just run into each other at the dog park. I froze, thought about turning around, but she was already talking. "I'm not gonna beg," she said, voice thin. "You don't owe me anything. I just wanted to see you. Just in case." "In case of what?" I asked. "In case I forget what it feels like to want to be better for someone." That was the first thing she said that didn't feel like a performance. It didn't undo anything. It didn't fix the Target moment, but it cracked something. Something hard and bitter that's been sitting in my chest since that day. I nodded once, said, "I hope you get there." Then I got in my truck and left. I cried the whole drive to work, not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted her to have been that person all along. Later that night, I found the poetry book I bought her. Still wrapped. I never gave it to her. It was supposed to be a surprise on Christmas Eve. I sat on the floor with it in my lap for half an hour before I opened it. The inside cover had a note I'd written weeks ago. To Harper. For the days you forget how loved you are, and for the boy who never stopped trying to remind you. I thought about burning it. Dramatic, right? Cleansing fire and all that. But I couldn't. Instead, I wrote a new letter. To myself. I know. Sounds like something out of a bad breakup movie. But I needed to get it out. I needed to say, you did your best. You loved without armor. You showed up. You weren't weak for trusting her. You were brave. You don't have to keep bleeding just to prove you cared. I folded it and tucked it inside the poetry book. And I finally put the book away. Not in the trash. Not on her doorstep. Just away. Harper texted me one more time last night. The last message I'll ever read from her. I know I was cruel. I know I don't deserve another shot, but if you ever decide to try again, I'll be better. I swear I will. I know what I lost. I didn't reply. Because here's the truth. She didn't lose me because she made a joke. She lost me because when I handed her my trust, literally, in the form of a credit card, a Christmas list, and a heart wide open, she looked at me like I was some novelty gift from the discount aisle. It's Christmas Eve now. Ranger's asleep by the heater, snoring like he worked a double shift. I'm sitting on my couch with a mug of spiked cider and the soft glow of the dollar store string lights I hung around the window. It's quiet, peaceful, still. I don't know what I thought this night would feel like. Maybe I imagined being at her place wearing those ridiculous matching flannel pajamas she bought for her and the dog, but not for me, remember? Maybe I thought we'd be watching Love Actually while pretending we didn't know every line. Maybe I thought I'd be wrapped up in something warm and stupid and full of the kind of love that doesn't require decoding. Instead, I'm here, alone, and weirdly, okay. I didn't reply to her last message. I haven't seen her since that morning at the truck. But the silence is no longer punishment. It's preservation. It's me choosing to stay whole. There's something I haven't told you yet about that moment in Target. Right after she laughed, that laugh, and made the puppy comment, and the cashier smirked like I was just another dumbass in a long line of them, I looked at her. Not just looked. I saw her. Really saw her. And in that split second, I realized she didn't think I would leave. She thought I was safe, predictable, soft enough to humiliate, loyal enough to stay. She saw a man who would always kiss her forehead and carry the bags, no matter how many times she sharpened her words like knives and smiled while they cut. She thought I didn't know I was bleeding, but I did. And still, I stayed quiet, because even in that moment I wanted to protect her from herself, from the sound of her own cruelty echoing back at her. And that was the problem. I was trying to love someone who mistook silence for weakness, who thought sarcasm was intimacy, who believed affection was something to be rationed based on performance. So I left. No slammed doors, no final speech, just a kiss on the forehead and the quiet dignity of enough. That was my revenge, I guess. Not rage, not public call-outs, just leaving her to sit in the silence she created. And now she stands in that silence, alone, screaming into the void, begging for a sequel. But I already finished the story. It doesn't end with us back together. It ends with me choosing peace over punishment, self-respect over spectacle, and maybe finally understanding that the right person will never make you feel like a joke for loving them. Ada for walking away without a scene? Number. Because sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Merry Christmas. And if you're out there reading this wondering whether it's too late to walk away from someone who keeps shrinking you, it's not. Wrap up your heart, take your dog, and go. Someone out there will think you're a wolf from the start.